You've probably had that moment where you pour a glass from the kitchen tap and you still hesitate. Maybe it's the smell, maybe it's the taste, or maybe you're just tired of guessing what your water is doing to your coffee maker, your shower, and everything in between. In this Crystal Quest water filter review, you're going to see what each type of system actually does in day-to-day life, how it fits into your home, how it treats the water, and what the upkeep feels like once the new filter excitement wears off. And if you want to compare for yourself, I've put links to the best price I've found right now for each water filter, RO system, and softener in the description box below. Let's start with the Crystal Quest High Flow Whole House Water Filter, because this one is built for the whole house no slowdowns crowd. You choose a setup rated around 15, 20, or 35 gallons per minute, with peak flow rates that climb as high as 22, 41, or 60 gallons per minute, depending on whether you have extras like a water softener or an anti-scale system. So, when you're running showers, doing laundry, and using the kitchen at the same time, your water still feels like normal life. Up front, you're working with a robust 20-inch sediment filter rated for 5 microns, so you're not feeding grit and particles into the rest of the system. Right after that, it runs through a special coconut carbon block, which is the kind of step that keeps your everyday water feeling cleaner when you're filling a pot for pasta or topping off a kettle. Where this system gets interesting is how it layers in finer treatment without turning your house into a science project. You get a 0.2 micron ultrafiltration membrane in the mix, so the water gets pushed through a really tight physical screen before it moves on. Then it adds calcium carbonate media, which is there to support alkalinity and remineralization. So, unlike with other filters, your water doesn't feel stripped when you drink it straight. There's also a powerful Eagle media tank that uses a coconut shell-activated carbon bed and Eagle Redox alloy media, 6,500 and 9,500. In normal use, the media life is typically in the 7 to 10 year range, which means you get the set it and live your life experience instead of constantly chasing replacements. By the way, are you shopping because you want cleaner water at every tap, or mainly for drinking and cooking? Drop a comment below so I can see what most homes are really trying to solve. Next up in these Crystal Quest water filter reviews, you've got the natural Alkalizer, Ionizer, Mineralizer, and Oxidation system. And the whole point here is water you enjoy drinking without overthinking it. This system runs through 4 stages that include natural minerals and infrared balls, plus natural carbonate media. So you're not just filtering, you're rebalancing how the water feels in the glass. In practice, that shows up when you pour a cold bottle to take to work or make tea and the water tastes smoother and more finished. It's the kind of system that's meant to live quietly in the background while your water feels more pleasant all day. On the sizing side, you've got 2 media volumes, 1.5 or 2 cubic feet, with capacities of 1 million or 1,500,000 gallons. So, unlike cheaper store-bought filters, it's aimed at long, steady whole-home use. Service flow is in the 9 to 11 gallons per minute range for the smaller setup and 10 to 13 gallons per minute for the larger one, which is where you stop worrying about someone flushing a toilet while you're rinsing dishes. You can choose it in a no backwash configuration or with an automatic backwash setup, so you match it to how hands-on you want to be. If you like the idea of water that's more enjoyable at every tap, and you want that to feel like part of the house rather than another countertop gadget, this Crystal Quest water filter is a great option. Now, let's move into something much more personal in this Crystal Quest water filter review: the shower filter. This is the kind of upgrade you notice in the first week, because it's sitting right where your day starts: shampoo, soap, steam, and that hot rinse at the end. It uses a 3-stage filtration setup and is built to run at up to 2 gallons per minute, so your shower still feels like a proper shower rather than a trickle. It also operates with water pressure from 30 to 60 pounds per square inch and water temperatures from 40 degrees Fahrenheit to 110 degrees Fahrenheit, which keeps it aligned with typical home shower conditions. The result is simple. You step in, you rinse off, and your shower water feels more refined in normal use. Ownership stays straightforward, too. The cartridge life is rated for 10,000 gallons, or about a year, so you're not guessing every month whether it's time to swap it. The cartridge itself is compact, about 3 inches tall and just over 2 inches in diameter, so replacing it feels like a quick hands-on task, not a plumbing project. And because it includes the kind of adapters you need for common shower setups, you're focusing on the experience, not hunting for parts. If you don't want a whole house filter, but still want to make a small change that positively affects your routine every single day, this Crystal Quest filter is a great option. Alright, now we're talking about the Crystal Quest Whole House Water Softener with pre/post filtration, which is built for the hard water chores you feel everywhere. This system softens water by swapping hardness minerals like calcium and magnesium for sodium or potassium ions, so soap lathers easier and rinses cleaner when you're washing your hands or shampooing. You can choose either 1.5 cubic feet of resin with a 48,000 grain capacity or 2 cubic feet with a 60,000 grain capacity, so you're matching the system to how much water your household pushes through. Service flow lands at 9 to 11 gallons per minute on the smaller option and 10 to 13 gallons per minute on the larger one, which helps the soft water feel consistent when multiple taps are running. And because it includes pre- and post-filtration cartridges, a 20-inch sediment cartridge up front and a 20-inch carbon block after, your water gets a cleaner path through the whole setup while you're using it. The maintenance rhythm is exactly what you expect from a traditional softener. You regenerate it regularly using either salt or potassium chloride, so the resin keeps doing its job. It comes standard with a timer valve that runs the backwashing schedule on set days, and you can choose a metered valve that triggers based on gallons used, so the system behavior lines up with how your home actually consumes water. There's also an optional leak detector valve that shuts down the water supply if it detects a leak within the filter system, which is the kind of protection you appreciate when the unit lives in a utility area. And the parts, components, and media are certified to the highest NSF and ANSI standards, such as Standard 44 for water softener performance and Standard 372 for lead-free compliance. So you're pairing the feel upgrade with a strong trust signal. If your main goal is better daily washing, softer feeling water, and less hard water hassle across the whole house, this system fits that goal. By the way, if hard water is what pushed you to start looking, what are you noticing most right now? Leave a comment, because everyone's water is different, and it's helpful for others reading to compare notes. Next, let's bring it down to the sink with the Crystal Quest Faucet Mount Water Filter System. This one attaches right where you already pour water for cooking, drinking, and filling the dog bowl, so it feels like a practical little upgrade instead of a remodel. You're working with 6 stages of filtration and a total capacity up to 2,000 gallons, which lasts about 6 to 12 months in normal use, so you're not constantly thinking about replacement week after week. The suggested flow rate is 0.30 gallons per minute or less, which naturally pushes you towards slower, steadier fills, like topping off a jug for the fridge. And because it's built as a space-saving faucet mount, you keep your sink usable without giving up counter space. Day to day, you just swap the cartridge when it's time and keep going. The housing is BPA-free, and the system is ISO certified, which adds peace of mind for something you're using every day. You can get it in chrome or white, so it blends into most kitchens without looking like a lab tool. If you want better tap water for the basics, without drilling, without hoses all over your counter, this is the kind of simple, close to the faucet solution that makes sense. Now we step into the biggest commitment in the lineup, the revered Crystal Quest Whole House Reverse Osmosis System. This is the purified water everywhere approach, with systems ranging from 200 up to 7,000 GPD and multiple flow rate options, so you can size it to your home instead of forcing your home to fit the system. The design is modular and arrives operational with minimal plumbing, so the install focuses on connecting the system rather than piecing together a DIY kit. Every system includes pre-filtration to extend membrane life, which means you're protecting the heart of the RO setup before the hard work begins. And if you choose the storage tank kit, water stores in an atmospheric tank sized at 165, 220, or 500 gallons, and a pump feeds the house as needed. So you get that steady, turn on the tap and go experience. The operating specs help you quickly see if this fits your water conditions. Minimum feed pressure is 45 pounds per square inch. Operating pressure runs 50 to 150 pounds per square inch, and it's built to handle up to 15 grains per gallon of hardness, so you've got clear guardrails for normal operation. The system boasts NaCl rejection from 96% up to 98.5%, which is the kind of performance marker that matters when you care about RO doing true RO work. It runs on standard 110 volts by default, with 220 volts and either 50 or 60 Hz supported depending on what you need, so it can match different electrical setups. And with regular pre-filter and membrane changes, the system is expected to last about 15 to 20 years, which makes it feel like a long-term home upgrade rather than a short-term gadget. Alright, now for a countertop option in this Crystal Quest water filter comparison that's all about targeted treatment. The Fluoride Countertop Water Filter System. This one sits on the counter and connects to a kitchen faucet, and it installs quickly, so you're not dealing with under-sink clearance or a complicated setup. A diverter valve switches between filtered and unfiltered water, which is handy when you want filtered water for drinking and cooking, but you're just rinsing a pan. The housing comes in BPA-free white polypropylene or stainless steel, and you can pick a single, double, or triple configuration depending on how much filter media you want working for you. Total output is rated for 10,000 gallons, about 1 to 3 years in normal use, so your routine becomes use it daily, change it occasionally, not the other way around. Inside, it stacks a fluoride removal cartridge alongside a smart cartridge and a carbon block filter, so the system treats fluoride and then continues polishing the water for everyday drinking. The fluoride removal cartridge uses fluoride charcoal granulated activated carbon unless aluminum oxide is requested, which gives you a clear choice in how fluoride treatment is handled. It's rated for a max flow of 0.5 gallons per minute, and the system is built so flow will either stop or slow down greatly when the cartridge is spent, which acts like a built-in time-to-change-it signal while you're filling a glass. Operating pressure runs 20 to 60 pounds per square inch, with a temperature range of 40 to 90 degrees Fahrenheit, so it stays within typical home water conditions on a kitchen tap. If your focus is fluoride treatment without changing your plumbing, this top-rated Crystal Quest water filter keeps the whole experience countertop simple. Next up is the Crystal Quest Metal Removal Whole House Water Filter, which is made for the well water symptoms you notice fast. It targets iron, manganese, and hydrogen sulfide, the stuff that shows up as discoloration, staining, and that unmistakable rotten egg odor, so you're solving a whole house nuisance rather than masking it at one faucet. The water path starts with a 20-inch sediment cartridge to catch sediment, silt, sand, and dirt, which keeps the downstream media from getting overloaded. After the main treatment tank, it finishes with a 20-inch solid carbon cartridge aimed at VOCs and leftover pesticides, insecticides, and industrial solvents, so the water feels cleaner when you're doing dishes or pouring a drink. The main mineral tank focuses on iron, manganese, and hydrogen sulfide reduction, and it includes Eagle Redox alloy media, 6,500 and 9,500, to inhibit bacteria growth throughout the unit, so the system stays focused on long-term whole house performance. Sizing is straightforward and very whole home. 1.5 cubic feet of media is listed for 1 million gallons, and 2 cubic feet is listed for 1,500,000 gallons. Service flow is 9 to 11 gallons per minute, or 10 to 13 gallons per minute depending on the size, so you're matching it to how busy your house gets on a normal morning. Backwash runs automatically, which keeps the media refreshed without you handling it day to day. And you can choose configurations that add a smart filter and/or a softener, so you build around your specific water profile instead of settling for a one-size setup. If metals and sulfur are the story of your water, this system is built to change that story across the entire house. By the way, if you're dealing with well water stains or sulfur smell, drop a comment and tell me what you notice most. It really helps other people reading through who are trying to choose the right system for their home. Now let's talk about the Countertop Reverse Osmosis system in these Crystal Quest water filter reviews, because it's the most portable way to get real RO-style treatment. This setup hooks up to your sink faucet and runs water through 10 stages, starting with 1-micron filter pads and granulated activated carbon. So you're catching particles and tackling common taste and odor culprits early. The RO membrane filters particles as small as 1/10,000th of a micron, which is the kind of deep treatment you notice when your water goes into coffee, tea, and ice trays. It also uses 2 beds of Eagle Redox alloy media made from copper and zinc, followed by ion exchange resin and a final carbon and 1-micron polishing step. So the water gets repeatedly cleaned and refined before you drink it. The whole thing fits in a 16 inches by 7 inches by 7 inches footprint, which makes it practical for apartments, offices, RV-style living, or anywhere you want RO without dedicating under-sink space. Output is where you treat this like a make-and-store system rather than an instant pour faucet. It's rated up to 50 gallons per day, about 2 gallons per hour, when conditions support it, and it notes that incoming water pressure directly affects production, with around 60 pounds per square inch supporting that 50 gallons per day rating. It also calls out a very slow, on-demand flow rate of about 25 gallons per day at standard residential faucet pressure, which naturally pushes you toward filling a pitcher or container and keeping it ready in the fridge. Pressure range starts at 45 pounds per square inch. Temperature range runs 40 to 85 degrees Fahrenheit. An optimum service flow is listed at 0.30 gallons per minute at 60 pounds per square inch. So you know the operating window without guessing. If you want a countertop RO option that's built for individual consumption and emergency-style simplicity, this one fits that exact lifestyle. Finally, let's wrap the product lineup with the Smart Whole House Water Filter, which is one of the best Crystal Quest water filter contenders for whole home use. It uses a 4-stage path, a 20-inch sediment cartridge up front, a 20-inch solid carbon cartridge, and then the Smart Filter mineral tank. So the system catches particles, polishes taste and odor, and finishes with a deeper treatment step before the water hits your home. Inside that smart tank, you're working with a blend of coconut shell activated carbon, including catalytic, Eagle Redox alloys, 9,500 and 6,500, which is built to reduce a wide range of unwanted contaminants. In daily life, that means your water feels and tastes more natural at every tap, whether you're filling a glass, rinsing produce, or running a bath. It's a whole home setup that's meant to feel like a quiet upgrade, not a constant project. For sizing, you choose 1.5 or 2.0 cubic feet of media, with capacities listed at 1 million or 1,500,000 gallons. So it's built for long service, not short cycles. Service flow sits at 9 to 11 gallons per minute for the smaller size and 10 to 13 gallons per minute for the larger one, which helps the filtered water keep up with real household demand. Backwash runs automatically, so the media stays refreshed without you manually flushing the system. And if you like adding layers of security, there are options like a 12G PMUV sterilizer and a leak detector valve that shuts down water to prevent flooding, so the ownership experience can feel both cleaner and more protected. If you want one whole house system that's focused on broad, everyday filtration without turning your home into a plumbing experiment, this Crystal Quest water filter is where you need to look. So here's the simple way to choose. If you want whole home filtration that keeps up with busy fixtures, you lean toward the higher flow whole house setups. If your focus is soft water for washing and daily comfort, you pick the softener system that matches your household size and flow needs. If you want deep purification across the entire house, the whole house RO systems are built for that purified everywhere goal, and the Countertop RO is the smaller, faucet-connected way to get RO-style water for personal use. And if you just want a targeted upgrade at one tap or one shower, the faucet mount and shower filter keep things simple. If you want to check them out and compare for yourself, the description box has links to the best price I've found right now for each one in the best Crystal Quest water filters lineup.